showing the vision we have that we did last year. Because you're able to deal with food, we money last year. They had about that time. It's show.
Okay.
It's a beach, one half so one.
So, Division 2. I don't know. We're ready, Johnny.
Good afternoon. This is the subcommittee meeting of the Ways and Means Committee. I'd like to start by saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The members of the subcommittee are myself as chair, Stacy Bronson Rizzo, and
Yeah.
Anthony Caggiano. In attendance is Mr. Sinella, and I'm not sure, and Ms. Monteroso is on Zoom.
Yep.
I'm basically gonna turn the meeting over to Mr. Cruz to give us your analysis, update, whatever word you want me to use. And thank you for your work.
Sure. So the goal of this conversation is that the Ways and Means Committee will have a recommendation to give to the full committee for the upcoming school committee meeting to vote the appropriation of the net school spending required eligible carry forward funds that came out of the previous fiscal year and are intended for use in this fiscal year. So this conversation is to get to the recommendation from the subcommittee to the committee as a whole. There are some similarities, even in a giant budget like ours, to personal budgeting. One of them is that you will often expect to spend a certain amount of money, but spend a little bit less. And so at the end of a budget season, there is a surplus of funds available to hit 100% exactly of your budget is an impossibility. And so this conversation happens each year to say, what is our surplus? Where are we required to spend it? And where are we going to mobilize it? So during the current fiscal year, I try and give updates to our sense of how the carry forward number is tracking. And then in the spring, we just have to put a pin in it and say, here's our best guess right now before year end of what we think will be available. And we include that in our budget deliberations. And then in the fall, today, we actually have the fixed final firm number to see how close were we in our projection and what do we do if there is any surplus. So during the budget cycle, we had said we were really confident that we'll have $5.25 million worth of net school spending eligible carry forwards. And we'll employ that on classroom teaching staff to bring back. And then we would wait till now to see how close did we come to that actual figure. So the first printout that says FY25 into FY26 carry forward. The primary number to focus on is the bottom left number. This is your net school spending eligible column. And this is the final carry forward from FY25. So we were guessing 5.25 and we landed at 5.47. So that's the important number to take from the first page and is informing the second page. The second page is how will we appropriate those net school spending carry forward dollars in this current year? So the summary section is the section to focus on. And we can see the net school spending required carry forward of the 5.47. We've already committed 5.25 of that for classroom teaching instructional staff. We had committed $65,000 last fiscal year to a project at the Lincoln. Because that bid had not gone out by the time the fiscal year closed, we had to protect that money and let it flow through into this year. So 65 of the 5.47 was kept aside because we hadn't gotten the equipment properly bid out yet. So that's now
Spoken for.
spoken for. But we have to show it flowing through and committing it a second year because of the timing. And that gives us a difference of the 155 from what we were expecting or what was spoken for to what has to be appropriated in some way by this committee. And down at the bottom, I'm just getting specific accounting in place for the auditor to take the vote of the committee and get it actualized into this year's general ledger. So that's a summary of where we're at with the carry forward coming out of FY 25 into FY 26. I can pause there for any questions or the next steps.
Mr. President.
So. Net money carried over that hasn't been, put to, and you said is about 156,000, correct? 155,999,
Yep.
okay, that's the money we have available.
Right, I can give two other big picture. These are subjective conversation. That was all objective.
Okay.
So we are all prepared to be hearing from me in the spring that it's unlikely that we'll carry forward $5.4 million again. This is the tightest budget that we've done since 2008 or 10.
2010, we were still tight in 10.
2010, easily, this is the tightest in 14, 15 years. And we strategically did some things last year that was using money that won't flow through this year. So in the bigger picture, subjective carry forward conversation, we'll do everything we can to manage that number as high as we can get it. But I think we'll all be pleasantly surprised if if it's that large again, and it's unlikely. And the second is, it's only October 8th or so. So there's only one account that we see a structural problem with so far this year. That's our residential tuitions account, which is highly volatile. And this year, so far, the number of placements exceed what we would have expected. So we're keeping our eye on that account, projecting toward the red. It is a part of the 9,000 series account of tuitions. So a surplus in a collaborative account or a non-public school account can help out with the deficit in the residential account. But that's one place that we see an immediate need for funds one way or another to cover the deficit compared to what the committee appropriated for that line. So those are two other moving parts in the conversation about carry forward. And then I forgot to say, but I know when we see a $5 million number, we see it as extraordinary, but that's maybe a 3% carry forward from the previous fiscal year operations. The other way to say that is we did spend 97+% of what we budgeted last year. It's just such big numbers that we end up with these big dollar amounts, but percentage wise, this is an expected carry forward number.
Thank you.
Mr. Zell, any question?
No, I don't, thank you. So I would recommend to the subcommittee and hope that you would recommend to the whole committee that we leave this 156,000 alone. Knowing that we don't know what to anticipate for the rest of this year, especially as Matt has said with the special education situation. But also we are anticipating another tight fiscal budget coming up for FY 27. And so anything that we can preserve is just going to help us in that regard. I did sign on to a letter with a bunch of other organizations, MASC being one of them, to appeal to the legislature to start looking now at how they can better support public school districts in FY 27, using the millionaires tax and knowing that we're all in these critical financial times. Hope maybe we'll get some good news in January. And we can think then about this $156,000 differently, but it really is, even though to any one of us, it's a ton of money, it's really a minuscule amount of money for our budget. And I think leaving it alone for now would be the most prudent thing.
I would like to see 40,000 of this money used at the Beachmont, early childhood / I'm gonna call it kindergarten playground. Both the Lincoln School and the Garfield School have an early childhood playground. Currently, the playground for the early childhood students / kindergarten, so I can include them, is a fenced-in area with a very, very broken sandbox with no cover. The box is so broken that the sand is literally coming out of the side of it, and there's a small little wooden table that's crooked. So those kids literally have nothing to play on at all. I had spoken to Al Baker from the Community Development Office, and she had come up with a $40,000 plan to put some structures down there to give the kids something to play with. We talk about equity in the district a lot, and it's very inequitable when one school doesn't have literally anything to play with and the other two schools do. So I realize the tight budget and all that, but $40,000 isn't a ton of money. And I just don't think it's fair to those kids in the Beachmont area not to have a playground for for those students. So that would be my recommendation. I would have, so I'm making a motion to spend 40,000. I'm comfortable leaving the rest. I totally understand the budget. I'm very concerned about the enrollment for next year and what that's gonna do. There was a very large article in the Boston Globe on Sunday, highlighting basically Chelsea and their enrollment issues. Their enrollment is down quite a bit, in the hundreds, and they're looking at approximately, according to the Globe, a $3.6 million cut in the budget. Which is pretty substantial, and I'm concerned that we're with the next town over, that we might have a similar problem coming next year in the spring when we're doing budget. But I do think the playground is something that the kids really need, because it's not that I'm looking for an upgrade. I have pictures on my phone, I'd be happy to share. There's nothing there, there's grass. So, and I don't think that's equitable at all. So, yes, Ms. Weaver.
So I definitely disagree with you. First of all, I mean, yes, we want to give our kids everything possible, but preschool is not even required, and we need to get that money to what we're supposed to be educating our kids with. Yeah, would I love to see a playground? In good days, I would. But this is not a time to take 40,000 and put to a playground, and I think maybe Al can look for it. I don't think it's our position to be looking at playgrounds. We to look at budgets, but that's not part of our budget.
Motion to spend 40. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't think
Because I got a couple questions. First of all, I wish we did this like 2-3 years ago when
Mhm.
the money situation was a lot better than it came up. My question to both of you would be, can we actually afford it? Number one. I'll get, if we go forward with this, how would it be financially? I mean, because we have to look at the enrollment and everything like that, and then using net school spending money.
Yeah, so one objective thing to keep in mind is that net school spending eligible funds don't cross over to early childhood programming, instruction, investment at all. And so the Lincoln decision wasn't actually from the last fiscal year, it was the prior one.
Mhm.
So the decision there was to say, we're sitting in such a good place that we can take that 65 and invest it in an early childhood area, knowing that the net school spending eligibility on that would get reduced from the whole. That was a decision that we made 2 cycles ago in doing this. It would be similar here. It's not that we couldn't allocate it. It is that that's not a use that would be seen as a net school spending eligible investment. And the other way to translate that is the way that Stacy just said, was it's using funds outside of K through 12 that could have been steered toward K2 through 12 in this specific situation. So, and we'll have this conversation more and more in the future, as we get closer to the early childhood center opening.
Mhm.
The vast majority of early childhood costs are covered not from net school spending, budgeting, revolving account, early childhood grants, IDEA grants. So this is a crossover that doesn't fit neatly into the column of what would be expected.
Is there any other series or areas where we could possibly get some of this funding?
One of the things I was wondering, John, did Al mention anything about, are there any opportunities out there for kaboom grants like we've done
Say grants
That's what we
till we-
used to get.
at the other schools?
She mentioned there might be some, but she wasn't sure, it might cover half, but she wasn't sure. It's just to me, I mean, it's not like I'm saying there's. My problem with it is, it's not like I'm saying other stuff there is not great, there's nothing there. Nothing,
Yeah, no,
And
I
it's
get
just-
it.
no,
They
but
do have a
no, but we-
playground on the other side that they could bring the
but
kids
they
over
can't, they
to.
can't bring those kids there, those kids
They
need to
could.
be,
They're there all day.
not the early childhood kids
I
that
know
are there.
3 early
They-
childhood families that go there all the time,
They can't use, no.
and one of them
Not,
was
not
my
the student,
family.
not the students that are there, they can't use the regular playground, it's impossible. I'd argue that till it's thousand home. I just don't think it's fair, 2 schools have a playground, this one doesn't, so if you go to Beachmont, tough luck, I don't buy that. It's not a 40,000 every year expense, the thing will probably maybe last 10 years, so it's 4,000 a year for the next 10 years. I just don't agree, I don't think it's fair, I don't understand.
John, who brought this up in the scheme of things, like, did the principal bring it up that he would like? Or the
No,
early childhood?
I had a short conversation with the principal about it, I said, I looked at, you can see it, if you drive down Bennington Street, it's not hard to see, it's an
Yeah,
empty
but I
space.
see a million different things that I think needs improvement, but it's not between me, like, if the principal and the early childhood teachers.
Yeah,
And.
one of the other child teachers did bring it to my attention.
Or
I'm talking-
also,
he's saying to
in
myself,
charge of early childhood brought it up to put it in the budget, that would be one thing. But we would all like to see things that we might want to improve and enhance our children's lives.
Mrs. Monterosso has her hand raised.
Sorry, I can see that. Ms. Monterosso?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I joined this meeting because I had asked for this to be put on the agenda alongside Mr. Kingston. So the last meeting that we had in September, we had referred it here to just find out more to what an actual amount would be for the park, and then to also have discussions about if there were grants available. I know I had signed up to speak with some of our state delegation partners to see if there was any funding from JetBlue or other airlines that have donated to the Beachmont School already as well. So I think what the committee as a whole had asked for this subcommittee as a starting point as well was to see what would be an actual amount that we would need for this park, just because we all didn't meet with Ms. Baker, and we wanted a number that the whole committee had awareness of and what would be included. So I think as you all continue to discuss, I would appreciate if the committee could also kind of find out what would be a real amount that we would need, and then whatever recommendations you all make, I'm happy to continue having the committee explore other ways to fund if carry forward isn't the time. And if we have to wait until the next budget, then we also have time to see what partners in the city can help us fund the playground as well. So thank you all.
So I would like to perhaps hear from the principal, director of early childhood, and even the early childhood teachers.
I can speak on behalf of all of them and say that there's nobody who wouldn't like to have a new playground.
No, and I do,
Yeah.
I realize it, but this is like, the only time we've heard from about it is John bringing it up. And although I appreciate he's at the school, he knows people there, he hears a lot. We just don't have any of the facts, really.
Yeah, and I know that they would all articulate that they would love to have, who wouldn't love playground equipment for the kids? Of course, they would love to have that. But I don't think,
I'd rather have the goose poop removed from the back parking lot than a playground.
I would too, I actually looked into that and it's almost impossible because.
It is
it's
impossible.
Technologically and stuff, no, I
Yeah.
agree with you, that's a tremendous problem, I totally agree, but we preach equity all the time, and this isn't equitable, it's a total.
well, equity doesn't mean the same for everybody. I wanna highlight that because, you know, the equity means that each school and each group of kids and every individual student has what they need in order to be successful academically. That is primarily why we are here. It's about the academics, and I will do whatever the committee says to do on this regard. I think right now, in our current fiscal state, we are gonna be talking again next year about letting go of staff members and reducing programming and everything else. I don't know that the playground would be a priority outside of, let's make it a priority to find a charitable organization that wants to donate those funds, or a Kaboom or somebody like that. Kaboom's been phenomenal to us. They've done the Garfield School, they did the Paul Revere School. We'd love to bring them in on another partner day and build more of a tot lot instead of a full-scale playground with them. That would be my recommendation, and I will, just to Mrs. Rizzo's point, say that the principal did not come to me and say, we have a huge problem. There's no playground equipment for the early childhood. And the early childhood director did not come to me and say, we have a huge problem. There's no playground equipment for the early childhood program. Those kids are there for a little under 3 hours a day each.
No, they're all. No.
The AM session and then the PM session. So it's something that I can explore with them to see whether or not the larger playground, which was done not too long ago, on the other side of the building, if they need to be outside playing, if that's an appropriate space that we could reserve for them at certain times of the day, so the bigger kids aren't, I don't know, running around too much and creating a.
It's not fenced in.
Yeah,
not.
I realize, yeah.
You know, take a 3-year-old with special needs and put him in an outdoor space so he can run. Yeah, it's not. I'm gonna make a motion, let the motion, I'm gonna make a motion, and if it fails, it fails, and that's fine.
So I'll say one more thing before before the motion, you said it. You can make the motion. I will second it and I will vote in favor of it, but I'm gonna want, if it goes to the committee as a whole, I think we need to have more information. And I'd like to have everybody's other input from the committee also, not just us.
And can I just say? Are we supposed to be? I thought we were voting on what he just presented to us, and that is a separate item on the agenda.
The reason it was brought up today was because we have this hundred, I know it's not a lot of money, I get it. $155,000, I thought making the third school that has early childhood have a playground as well as the other two was a reasonable expenditure of $40,000. Based on this extra money that we found, I agree that the 110,000 or so left over will help us into next year. I don't have a problem with that at all. But I do think the playground to me is a priority. We talk about, I mean, we've had presentations about, we're gonna try to make academics more into or incorporate play into academics to try to, keep the kids engaged and all that. Physical activity is just as important as anything else. And getting fresh, my mother was a huge preacher about fresh air. She would say, get out of the house, go outside and get fresh air, go outside and get fresh air, it'll help you. There's a million studies out there about getting fresh air and being outdoors, and I take a vitamin because unfortunately I work too much and I don't get enough sunlight, so my vitamin D is down. So that's on me, I have to spend more time outside. Unfortunately, work a lot and that's that. But to me, outside space is important. I just wanna take it to a vote. I don't, if it passes, it passes, if it doesn't, it doesn't, but I don't think.
So, John, I'm not saying what you're asking for is not valuable. And I understand where you're coming from in a lot of ways. I'm just looking at, we were talking about closing the books and.
No, this is part of
Well,
possible closing the books.
that was the second item on the agenda.
Right.
So did we finish the first conversation?
No, we could close the books, I guess, at the 155. My thought
But
was
that's
to take,
what we.
my thought was to
Then.
take, yeah, there were two things discussed. To me, they're part and parcel.
But you have 3 things on your list that you want to discuss. We didn't finish the
So,
first one.
We'll need direction from here through the committee, so that we know where do we appropriate the 5.4. So this conversation is about, when I move to, the actual accounting for it, I have to direct them where to put the 155. And one possibility is to house it for now in the residential account. If we need it, we can use it there. Or this conversation, but I'll need direction coming out to know where do we put it. And as always with non-salary plans, we can make a plan, move it through the committee, appropriate it that way, but things change, that doesn't mean that you must encumber the funds. The decision here is, that is our intention, so you're instructing me to get everything lined up to do that.
Remember, we don't need to vote on the closing of books. That's.
No, that's
well,
not an
second.
actual vote, no.
Okay,
No.
no,
It
so
would
the only
be-
thing
it
right
would-
now is just like. Put a motion, we wanna put a motion in, I said I'd second and agree with it, but I think we need more conversation on it. As far as with the committee as a whole.
So I think that the process would be that if you all would, the three of you would vote on John's. Motion today and have further discussion as you want about the 155, and then you would present that to the whole committee.
Correct.
For a vote on October 21st, which would tell Matt what we're gonna need at that meeting is. To put 155,999 into sped residential, or put 40 into a playground for the early childhood and the rest into. Sped residential, or put it all into carry forward, you know what I mean, like. That's what we'll be looking for.
That's
On,
that was my
um,
thought, so
the
20,000 would basically come off the 155, and then the 115-ish would be, to whatever, whatever was decided. If Matt wants us to put it in the residential, it's fine, whatever Mr. Cruz thinks is fine with that money would be fine with me. It's eventually all going in the same pot at some point, so it doesn't make a lot of difference to me. But I wanted to take the 40,000. That is a set number, which I did receive from El Baker. I can ask her to send an email to the superintendent. Stating what the amount was. That was the estimate. That was the figure that she had given me. To get some fixtures there, to have something there. So.
So I also think we need more information of what type of structures are we,
I'll ask her to
talking
send,
about.
I'll ask her to send an
So-
email to the superintendent.
I mean, I think all that information should be sent to the early childhood director along with the superintendent.
Shouldn't if there's
And
any grants too, also.
yeah,
Grants available.
there's always been grants, so,
Okay,
I mean, there's other schools that don't have early childhood tots either.
No, there's only 3 schools that have early
Lots.
childhood, and 2 of them have lots. That's a fact.
Pardon?
There's only 3 schools that have early childhood.
But
They
we're
both
going to
lots.
have early childhood soon at Union Street,
I hope so.
so
I hope so.
It's gonna be a beautiful
Yeah.
park there.
it's gonna
Yeah.
be gorgeous.
But are we gonna keep those early childhood classes we have now in addition to that one? That's my goal. I hope to have more classrooms, not less.
Well,
Because right
That's
now
down
we
the
have
road.
9, right? And there's only 8 there, so we're not going.
Yeah, no, the hope is to keep at least some of them, but where
Right.
exactly they'll be, it's
No, but
needs
yeah,
to be
but I'm just
decided,
saying,
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I hope to add.
Exactly,
Right.
yeah, we wanna create more early
So,
childhood
The
capacity.
playground at Lincoln or the playground at Beachmont may still be in play in
Yeah.
2 years.
Maybe.
so can I ask what the exact motion is?
I'll make the motion. My motion is to take 40,000 from the carry forward funds and use it to fund a playground, early childhood / kindergarten playground at the Beachmont School, which has nothing right now. That's my motion. Second,
and the rest of the money?
and the rest of the money to be well, I was gonna do them separately, but the rest of the money to be allocated. Either depending on what Mr. Cruz tells us at the next meeting.
We would recommend the special ed
Yeah,
Special ed,
residential
okay.
line item.
that's
The
the best.
special ed, what is it exactly called?
Residential tuition.
Residential to the 115,999 to go to the. Special
Special education residential tuition.
education
Yeah.
residential accounts. That's the motion. I was gonna take them separately, so if someone didn't wanna do the playground. I would be understood and be very clear. Taking them together, I don't think anyone's gonna vote no against putting them 115 into the other account. That's why I thought 2 motions might be a good idea.
I'm confused.
What are we gonna-
What's a residential?
We can remember
That's the account Matt talked about, that's underfunded.
So I'm gonna try to summarize, for everybody, the one area that we're really worried about financially is the line item for special education residential tuitions, which is already 1 month into school, higher than we anticipated. And so our recommendation was that the 155,999, that is the additional carry forward that the committee has not already committed anywhere, be moved into that line item so that when we get further into the year or to the end of the year, it is less likely to be in the red, and more likely to stay in the black. There are other pieces that could help with that, as Matt mentioned. Any other line item in that series, in the 9,000 series that comes in under, will help offset any overage that we have for the residential tuitions. But our recommendation was that the $155,999 go into that special education residential tuition line item in the budget. And then, Mr. Kingston's motion, John, correct me if I get this wrong, is that of the $155,999, still unallocated through carry forward, that 40,000 be allocated to an early childhood, playground at the Beachmont School, and that the remainder of that money be allocated to the special education residential tuition line item in the
Yeah.
budget.
I'll second that just to get out of committee, but I wanna, talk more on that, with the teacher, the grants and so on, before I make a final decisions with the committee as a whole, but I am voting.
Sorry, with the, talk more with who did you say?
With the, department head,
Oh, okay, yeah.
the needs, how much do they need?
Mhm.
We can look at the 9,000 series, the grants,
Mhm.
and then maybe we'll have more information on it by the time the committee meet on Tuesday.
So John, do you wanna?
I still,
I said yes. You
Yeah.
said yes, you said yes.
Stacy, yes, no? Well,
No, but I'd like to make
again, can I
I
really
would
like
like to make a second recommendation that it be brought up to a separate committee to discuss that fully. We don't even know what the 40,000 would include. We don't know who in that field is supporting this. I think we need more information instead of saying, let's take 40,000 out from special ed.
But can we do that with the committee as a whole, and then we can, if we don't have enough information, then we can refer it to the committee then? Would that be acceptable? The key is just to get more information to the committee by a week from Tuesday before a decision is made.
I would agree with more information on both, but I wouldn't support saying, let's get 40,000 for a playground, a tot lot. But if more information, yes, I would agree to that.
I'd like to, okay, so it passed, I assume, is that where we're at? I'll make the motion again, I think there's some confusion.
I feel like you made the motion, Mr. Caggiano seconded and voted in the affirmative, and Mrs. Rizzo voted against.
So you're making a recommendation. Your second would make a recommendation to the whole committee about it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Anything else, man?
Oh, not on the character.
I don't have anything else.
There's a third item on the agenda, reviewing needs. I don't know, was that part of the beach one?
No. You know, well, I think that was, in case you wanted.
Oh, if we had other suggestions.
I apologize.
I got you.
I don't think I even put that on there, quite frankly, maybe I did, I don't think so, but anyway, I thought it was for you to decide what we wanted to. put on
Gotcha,
it.
if we
If
were
you- what's the
suggesting
need?
to spend on
Because
something.
if we have 150, if we have the 115,000, if the 40 comes off, what did you want us to
Gotcha.
do with it? What was
Okay.
your suggestion?
Mhm.
So I think,
We need more money.
I think we're.
Someone make a
That's what we
Could
need.
I ask a question? It's budget related. Any idea on the number, what we're looking at, or how many kids are, what the enrollment was?
The dip in enrollment, it's over 200.
Mhm.
That's what I thought. Okay, I just want.
So not quite, we're not, I was talking to Elmia Beta, the superintendent in Chelsea the other day, and we're not quite at the level that they are at, but we're in tough shape.
Yeah, Chelsea's in a lot worse shape.
I know it's budget, it wasn't on the agenda, but to me, it's budget related.
It is, yep.
Okay,
Okay, so, motion to adjourn,
second.
adjourn,